Greetings and welcome to Pinball Help. Mike here. Today I am doing a first look at a pinball machine that I picked up a day or two ago and I just unloaded it. This is a Game Plan Sharpshooter 2. This is a pretty rare game. There were only 600 of them made, and I just got this out of a garage. Friend of a friend said, hey, I know somebody who's got a pinball machine they're looking to get rid of. Want to come take a look at it? So I went out there, and I'm going to show you what I saw and how I negotiated this deal. So first let me put a little bit more light on in here. This room is not the best lit, but you may not notice that from the camera. So this is the game. I'll show you what I noticed. You'll notice right off the bat that the back glass is off of it. One of the first things I did was I pulled the back glass and started triple thickening it. So let's take a look at that. I'll show you what I saw. So I just unloaded the game and then I took the back glass off. So the back glass is right here. This is a Sharpshooter 2 pinball machine. And see, it started to become delaminated all along this bottom part here. It was starting to come off, you could see. And up here on the top too. But the middle and the majority of the artwork is pretty good. So I've been putting a couple coats of Krylon triple thick glaze. This is pretty much what all of us use in the hobby. I've been using it for years and years and years, never had any problems with it. It's my go-to stuff to protect these back glasses. So obviously I picked up the game because I have it now, and I'm going to talk about what happened and how I negotiated for it and the circumstances. But one of my first priorities was to immediately secure the back glass. I wasn't even sure getting it home whether or not some of these pieces were going to fall off and I was going to lose them. So as soon as I got the game back here, I took it off and I put it back here, and I'm clear coating it to protect it. I put these little wood blocks to keep the clear coat over the score displays. That's kind of one of my tricks that I use. So other than that, I haven't really taken a good look at the game other than the initial thing. So when I went out to look at this game, I noticed a number of things that were wrong with it, and there's quite a bit of things that are wrong with it. When they sent me a picture, they didn't really show me a picture of the playfield, so I had no idea how bad the playfield was. So let's take a look at this. There is a humongous amount of wear down to the wood in the middle of the playfield. That's very, very, very bad. So when you're trying to price a pinball machine and you see something like this, it's like, whew, there goes the value. Because even if you could find a replacement playfield, you're looking at $500, not even counting labor to put it in. And this game is probably worth $500, fully operational, without this kind of wear. That's probably what it's worth. You know, if it was a superlative machine, it could be worth a bit more, and it could be worth a bit more to somebody who had a affinity for this particular machine. They remember it from their youth. In this case, it was just another game. This is an interesting game that's regarded as a pretty good play-in pinball machine. It's an off-manufacturer Game Plan. And it's a low production game, so it's somewhat rare. So it's a neat one to have. But when I saw this game, it had problems. There's a couple of other issues I'm going to point out. I'll show you. If you notice here along the head, you can see cracking all along here. This is the result of somebody that moved this game probably several times without removing the head, and this thing broke, and it's been patched. So what we have here is a classic example of a game that has been in the hands of somebody who does not know how to properly maintain it, and therefore it's gotten in worse condition than it really should have. There's no excuse for this kind of wear. This is likely caused by a ball that has corrosion on it, a slightly rusty pinball that bounces around the playfield that ends up basically being like sandpaper and tears the whole thing up. This is a good example of why you want to regularly replace your balls in the pinball machine you have. Make sure they're always nice and shiny and smooth. If you see even a little blemish on the ball, replace it. It only costs $2 for a new pinball versus the destruction of a playfield that is basically irreplaceable. So the value of this game is completely shot. It could possibly be restored because it appears to be mostly complete, but I don't even know if you could find a replacement playfield. This is such an obscure game, and all the time and effort to restore it would not result in a game in increasing the value when you take into account the money you spent and your time. But anyway, so I saw this game out. It's got some water damage, minor water damage around in different spots around the cabinet and stuff like that. It's certainly not super clean, but it's not in too bad a shape, and it appears to be complete. So there was a couple of strikes with this game when I came across it. The big strike was the horrible damage on the playfield all the way down to the wood. The second strike was the flaking of the back glass. Those are two things that pretty much damage the value of the machine. Shh. All right, dog, be quiet. The third strike was the game wouldn't boot up. When I plugged it in, a few lights went on, but the game didn't boot at all, which is a sign that you got the classic board problems in the machine. So the only thing I've done after I picked it up was I pulled the battery off of the MPU board. So let's take a look in here. I'm not super familiar with this architecture, but it looks like it's just kind of very similar to the Bali 35s. There's your MPU board right there. And right up here was one of those NiCad batteries that's common in the Bali 35 machines. So something went wrong. The game wasn't booting at all. The first thing you normally assume is that the battery is busted on the board and it's screwed up components. So that's the third strike right there. So when the person that had this told me they wanted $500 for it, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I said, you know, I'll be honest with you, it's worth $100 to me, maybe $150. And she's like, well, I saw it on Craigslist. I mean, I saw them on Google. I Googled it, and it was people were selling this game for $1,200. And yeah, right. People can ask whatever they want, and you're also talking about a game that's in much better condition than this one, which probably doesn't have the gaping wound here into the wood. So all of that affects the value. This game is of questionable value right now. So I walked away from the deal, but I told the customer, I told the woman, look, if you ever want this game playable again, you're going to have to do a few things immediately. You're going to have to take a look at that back glass and protect it and seal it. And you need to cut the battery off of the MPU board. So they called me back a couple of days later saying, okay, look, we'll do the deal with you, because they liked the fact that I wanted to restore the game and I wasn't going to part it out. It's possible it could be parted out for more than, a couple $100, maybe. But obviously, there's those of us in the hobby that would prefer to keep these things running. Even one that's as worn as this one, it's still possible to get playing back as an original machine. So that's my initial thing, and that's how I picked up the game. In the second part of this series, I'm going to actually look further into the game. I've never opened this up. I have no idea what's inside the cabinet. So you can take a look along with me, and we'll see what we see. So stay tuned and visit pinballhelp.com for more.